Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and tackle what is honestly one of the biggest misconceptions in modern education: the idea that getting a degree somehow comes with a guaranteed job. We've literally had this wired into our brains since day one, but the data and honestly, the reality of today's job market are telling us a totally different story. Right, so we all grew up hearing this incredibly comforting, perfectly logical promise from our parents and teachers. You know the drill. Study hard, get good marks, earn a degree, get a secure job. It was simple. And for a long time, it genuinely worked. But today, that old formula is failing millions of graduates who did everything right, only to find that final step is just missing. Which brings us to the great paradox of our time. It's crazy when you think about it. Every single year, millions of students graduate from universities, yet they seriously struggle to find work. But at the exact same time, employers across almost every industry are pulling their hair out because they literally can't find suitable talent. So how on earth do we have millions of unemployed graduates standing right next to employers who are begging for talent? Well, let's look at part one, the broken promise, and exactly how we got here. To really understand this mismatch, we have to look back. For much of the 20th century, holding a university degree was actually pretty rare. And because it was rare, it acted as a massive signal to employers. It basically said, hey, this person is disciplined, they're educated, and they possess specialized knowledge. Back when only a tiny fraction of the population had them, a degree really made you stand out. It opened doors, and yeah, it almost guaranteed a job. But then, education expanded, which, don't get me wrong, is a fantastic thing. Millions of people gained access to opportunities previous generations never had. But this massive expansion created a totally new reality. When degrees become common, they kind of stop being exceptional. A degree that used to make you a star candidate, now it's often just the bare minimum requirement. The finish line of graduation has literally just become the starting line of your career. Moving on to part two, the great disconnect between education and employability. I want you to play hiring manager for a second. Imagine a candidate walks into your office with a shiny new degree. Awesome. But then you ask them, okay, can you actually build this software application? And they just freeze. They know all the theory in the world, but they have absolutely no idea how to execute the task in real life. Now, compare them to a second candidate. This person walks in with the exact same degree, but they also bring a portfolio of practical projects, real industry exposure, proven problem-solving skills, and maybe some internship experience. I mean, who gets hired? It's a total no-brainer. The issue isn't the degree itself, it's whether that piece of paper is backed up by actual capability. So, here's the crucial takeaway. Education and employability are absolutely related, but they are definitely not the same thing. Education focuses heavily on learning. It asks, what do you know? Employability, on the flip side, focuses on application. It asks, what can you do? The modern workplace really values both, but just having the knowledge in your head is rarely enough anymore. Think about how we've been conditioned to measure success. For decades, it's been all about exams, marks, and grades. We've trained students to be experts at answering questions. But here's the giant disconnect. Exams usually have known answers, and they primarily reward memory. Real workplaces, they involve solving messy problems with totally unknown answers, and they heavily reward good judgment. Employers aren't just asking what you learned. They want to know what you can actually accomplish. And this leads perfectly into a concept you'll hear a lot, the industry-academia gap. It's this harsh reality where universities are teaching one specific thing, but because technology and global markets are evolving so incredibly fast, industries actually require completely different modern skills. University curricula really struggle to keep pace, so graduates enter the workforce feeling totally overwhelmed, often needing immediate and expensive retraining from their new bosses. All right, let's look at part three, a changing world and the new career trajectory. Just look at a standard career back in 1995. You earned your degree, you joined a company, stayed there for 40 years, got your gold watch, and retired. Nice and simple. Today, a modern career looks completely chaotic compared to that. You're navigating multiple jobs, you have to master entirely new technologies on the fly, and you're constantly going through reskilling. The world doesn't reward you just for what you learned once anymore. It rewards your ability to keep learning. And because theory alone just doesn't cut it, employers are desperately hunting for specific human skills. They want clear communicators. Because honestly, a brilliant idea is completely useless if no one else can understand it. They need proactive problem solvers, not just people who point out the problems. And above all, they're looking for chameleons, people who can learn and adapt continuously as the market shifts. But man, this leads straight into the ultimate catch-22 for fresh graduates. You know the one. You need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. It's an incredibly frustrating loop, and it's exactly why things like internships, apprenticeships, and work-integrated learning aren't just nice-to-haves on a resume anymore. They're basically the only viable bridge between the classroom and the real world. If you want to see how this can actually work perfectly, just look at Germany. They have one of the strongest apprenticeship models in the entire world. German students regularly combine classroom theory directly with real workplace training, so the theory and the practice develop at the exact same time. It proves a really vital point. Learning and working don't have to be totally isolated chapters of your life. They can, and honestly should, happen simultaneously. And look, if you're a student watching this explainer right now, pay close attention. The explosion of artificial intelligence is making this conversation unbelievably urgent. AI can already generate content, write complex code, and crunch massive amounts of data in seconds. If pure knowledge is instantly commoditized by AI, then your uniquely human skills, your creativity, your adaptability, your judgment, those become your absolute most undeniable assets. The future cares way less about what you know and a lot more about what you can do with what you know. So, that brings us to part 4, the solution, and the new formula for success. Let me be absolutely clear about something. The degree is not the enemy here. Education, universities, deep knowledge, they absolutely matter. The real problem is believing that degrees alone are enough. A degree is a vital foundation, but it is not a guarantee. It's a beginning, not a destination. Truly, the biggest myth you can buy into is the idea that your education somehow ends the exact moment they hand you that certificate. It is well past time to update that old promise with a new, much more realistic formula. Instead of just study hard and get a job, the modern career is entirely about action. You have to learn continuously. You have to actively develop your skills, aggressively hunt for real experience, and above all, adapt quickly. Do that, and you will create real value. And when you create value, the opportunities naturally follow. So, how do you thrive today? You've got to be proactive. Ask yourself, what specific skills does my target industry actually need right now? You need to start building a portfolio of practical projects to show what you can do. You've got to gain workplace exposure early through internships, and you absolutely must learn aggressively, way beyond whatever's printed on your class syllabus. Remember, employers are looking for proof of performance, not just proof of attendance. We live in a world that has never been more educated, and yet true practical learning has never been more critical. The future belongs to the value creators, the folks who can learn the fastest tomorrow, not just those who happen to know the most today. Because at the end of the day, companies do not hire pieces of paper, they hire people. And human capability is always going to be more important than certificates. I want to leave you with this final thought to answer down in the comments. If you had to choose just one, what do you think is the absolute most important factor in today's job market? A degree, skills, or experience? Let me know what you think. I really hope this explainer helped you rethink your own career path, and I'll catch you in the next one.